Tēnā rā koutou e haka hono hono mai ki Hau Kāinga. Welcome to our Hau Kāinga podcast caravan. And we have a special guest here with us today. And we will leave him to introduce himself.
Tēnā koe.
Tēnā koe, matua.
Tēnā koutou. Ko ai au, ko Joe Pihema hau. He uri o hau no Ngāti Whātua. Ko maunga kia te maunga. Ko Te Matatini moana. Ko tumutumu whenua te whare. Ko ngāoho. Ko te tau ngā hapu, ko Ngāti Whātua te iwi. Ki te taho taku whāia. Ko toka toka te maunga. Ko kaipara te moana. Ko te uri o hau te hapu, ko Ngāti Whātua te iwi. Ko hau tēnei e mihi atu nei kia koutou e ngā whanau ngā whānui o te taitoke rau nui tonu. Koutou o ngā puhi, tēnā koutou katoa.
Tēnā koe.
Tēnā koe.
Well, I'm Joe Pihema and I'm here at Matatini with your beautiful hosts here today. And I'm currently the kaiako, one of the kaiako of Te Uri o Manu Manu, alongside my wife, Huia Pihema. Huia, she's a kere from Te Aitanga Mahaki. Her grandfather, he established Waihirere back in the 50s. And she's also a tāngira from Te Whānau Apanui. So lucky that we tāhaid my wife to bring in all those pukenga ta Ngāti Whātua. So yeah, we're here today.
Good whakapapa there, bro. That's very, very good.
Hai,
but that's how our people used to work out what are the benefits.
Kuia.
What are the, yeah. So tell me about the commitment, especially you're both involved in kapa haka. Tell me about the commitment, because I know it's huge, but for both of you?
The commitment's huge, eh?
Yes.
I mean, if you look at, let's say, the top groups of Matatini now, if you want to be in that top echelon but be a regular member of that group of kapa, it takes a full commitment. It's a lifestyle, as you've heard. It's a cliche, but it's true.
Yeah.
And you have to live it, breathe it. You've got to be thinking about it and creating it. And I just had a word with my kapa this week and said, hey, the difference between a group like our group and a group like, let's say, Te Whānau Apanui, is that Te Whānau Apanui have come to a point where each and every individual member, they consider themselves to be the full package.
Right.
Mentally, physically, always open to learning, able to capture it quickly and to manifest it as per the wantings of the leadership. Then they can put all those individual full packages together as one full package for the stage. As we have a couple of full packages, mainly half packages, and a couple of packages that are coming along to hopefully want to be filled. And the reality for us is that we go overdrive, my wife and I, to plan, mainly my wife, in case my wife is watching. My wife does most of our planning, and it takes up a lot of our time at home. I'm trying to run a small business. She's very busy doing iwi projects, so any in-between time is about kapa haka for our family, but it does take a toll.
Yeah. It has to take a toll with that sort of commitment, eh? You have to be like a professional athlete. And I'm not just talking about the physical side of the commitment, the whakaaro, the knowledge, and, that must be a way to... Sacrifices are made, eh?
Yeah. I'm getting on now. I'm 56, and I've probably got a couple more matatini in me in terms of on the stage, but then I'll transition to off. To take a new group, you've got to do the 180% all the time to get them up to where a regular kapa haka, seasoned kapa are already at. And so we're working overtime all the time, and tempers get frayed, and we feel the stress every now and then, and we're continually falling back on the teachings of our previous experiences with the likes of George and Tangiwai, with the likes of other leaders that we've been around, to try and draw from them and those experiences, what were things that worked. And we put those to good use. We have to create our own too, because we're our own people. And our kapa people, they're not the people that we were with. And so, you know, you're having to, it's a new generation too. You've got to be quite cognizant of people's feelings and sensitivities, and even the fact that your membership, although they love being in the group and want to be on the journey, they actually don't have the same vision, and they may not have an understanding as to what does that vision require in terms of a commitment. Just case in point, we come on a Friday night like most kapahaka in a build-up to a competition, but we have morning karakia 6 o'clock.
Nice.
And we expect everyone to get up, sit up in their moinga, and we have about a 10 to 15 minute karakia Māori. And then after that, everyone's out of bed getting ready for a 7 o'clock on the floor. Well, that's a pretty tough regime if you're not used to it. And if, you know, you're kind of like you just came down to learn a few waiata. So
the farming stock can handle it. You know, those people brought up that way, you can't pay.
Well, we've got shearers and whatnot. But there is a generation, a younger generation who on a weekday, or on a weekend rather, they're probably not used to getting up, you know, until after 10 or 11 o'clock. And so it's just having to bring them into the expectations and into the regime, and it's socializing. This is what we are. This is what we have to be if we want to be better. And
this is the culture, the required culture that you're trying to form, eh?
Yeah, well, and it's not even a culture of winning, because you can't even get into that. You can't even get to that platform until you've got a culture of being, and a culture of solid fundamentals. And I keep going on to the couple all the time. Fundamentals. Follow your actions. Pitch your voice up. You know, in the haka, never drop your voice down at the end of a line. And mō te atea, there's no full stop, so you're not taking a breath, but you are ducking out and ducking in without any drama, while the rest of the group is carrying on. But don't duck out on a tupuna name or a big name. Go on an R or an or. Or
beautiful.
But these are little teachings and fundamentals that you pick up over the years being in an established group like Mahirere. So those teachings, we hammer it home, and you know what? It does get through. And for us to take our first stand at Matatini as Ngāti Whātua. Who the hell are Ngāti Whātua when it comes to kapahaka? Because really we've got no, apart from Te Puru o Tāmaki, we really don't have a presence, and Te Puru o Tāmaki haven't performed for 23 years. So we're
in the
bringing
redesign phase.
Well, exactly. And Ngāti Whātua hasn't been heard or seen for 23 years. Don't mention the pōhiri at Orake. However, we are back now, but we wanted to put our best foot forward, and I think our success factor has really been, one, come off feeling great, feeling like you've dropped it all, and two, enjoy your whānau reaching into you and saying, hey, you did really good, boy. We're really proud of you. That's our success factor.
That's beautiful.
I just want to ask on that part, Matua, how has it been prepping tai tamariki, those that have never touched the stage at all, or even just introducing themselves to the kapahaka world? How has that been for ngā uri o manu, and how has the leadership been able to deal with it in those processes?
Well, you've got to have a degree of flexibility, but you've got to hold the line, in terms of what's the culture of the team and what are the values. You can't drop your values too much, but at the same time, you can't throw the babies out with the water, eh? And so there's a degree of flexibility there, but you got to hold the line. And there's been a number of times where I've had to call the young ones, to come together and have a little bit of a kōrero with Uncle. And one of the kōrero I did have with them a couple of weeks ago was, hey, boys, I want you all to know that when the judges look at you, when the crowd look at you, they're not looking at a 15-year-old here and a 7-year-old there. They're looking at kaihaka. They're looking at toa of Ngāti Whātua. There's no differentiation.
Nice.
You're not singled out, so you're not given any benefit or advantage of being younger. So you've got to be everything that your uncle is, everything that your older brother is, in terms of the maturity, in terms of your projection of who you are. So let's, really nut down on those little kind of niggly moments when you're kind of looking around and you're distracted. You've got to bring all the disciplines. And I just said to them, hey, look, I know Uncle's getting down on you a bit, but you are my future, and I see all 4 of you being in my front row, and maybe another 2 matatini. You're all going to be my front rowers, eh? But I need you to bring that future to the floor today. Let's not wait for 4 years. I need you to bring that and put it on the floor. Don't talk to me about it now. Show Uncle the disciplines. Show me your ability. Show me the teachings. And always remember, I want the fundamentals to begin with. Fundamentals. And the other thing, there's another teaching in terms of te uri o manu manu, words are king. The kupu, ko ngā kupu, te mātāmua. And I don't want you to do, Uncle, don't want you to do big pukana when you're meant to be actually doing the words, You need to get the message out. You need to get the kōrero out. So those are things that we keep reminding them, not just the young ones though, but to your question, there's an extra amount of TLC that we put into them because they're our future, and we want te uri o manu manu to go beyond Matatini 2025.
Yeah.
10, 15 years ago, you could name the kaumātua and the kuia who were carrying everything on behalf of Ngāti Whātua, the dock kit of fees and whatnot, eh? But now we've got a stronger, we've got a group now, a wider group of cultural representatives who are quite well stocked in terms of the reo and whatnot. We've got a layer underneath them of well-trained tikanga people. We've got kapahaka happening everywhere. There's real tribal pride happening. We're getting an alignment between the runanga now and the different hapu authorities. We're all starting to align. And actually, Waitangi was a big shift for us. We were invited as an iwi Ngāti Whātua to Waitangi for the first time, probably since 1963 when the bus went off the road, eh?
Yeah, I remember that.
When the bus went over at Redouans.
Yeah, Pumo.
Well, we haven't been back as an iwi, eh?
Wow,
and,
that's significant, man.
Really, and we went back up there just last month, and there were 3 big tono that we went up for. One was we went up as part of the opening karakia for Te Tii Marae, the refurbishment.
Yes.
So we did the karakia from Taurangatira to the Waharoa of the marae. And then the Taranaki Ngāti Rahiri, they took over and did the ngākau of the whare. So we were part of that. We also had the waka, our brand new waka Te Kawau, became part of the kaupapa waka. And that was just so wonderful for our people. Again, we haven't had people on the water since Mahuhu o Te Rangi, the big waka that we had. That's been over 20 years. So that was a beautiful reintroduction of our people back into the kaupapa waka, but even getting back on Tangaroa again.
Yeah.
And the third one was Te Uri o Manu Manu performing at the forum stage. Yeah. And so we had 3 big take that Ngāti Whātua were invited.
Right.
And, it's something quite different, eh? When you go up there on a tono, that's quite formal rather than just coming in as an individual or a tourist or whatever, because you reach a different level of connection, with the haukainga.
Well, you're part of the fabric.
Oh, you become part of that fabric. And we felt it, eh? And
that's
it was a real highlight. And we even, and our runanga attended along with Orake, the Iwi Leaders Forum. But what we did was we had our own little leadership get-together in one of the afternoons, and we had the runanga and all of our hapu leadership in one room. And that was powerful. It hasn't happened for a long time because of some differing opinions. But the new young leadership that we got thought it was really important that we get alignment real quickly. And so we did, coming back to Te Uri o Manu Manu, we had our Tuesday afternoon performance. And who should meet us back at our hotel? We had the leadership of the runanga, the leadership of Orake, the leadership of South Kaipara, Hapu, and the leadership of Te Uri o Hau. All of the Ngāti Whātua leadership flew down for the day to acknowledge and to say to us, you fellas did us proud. Yeah.
It's a big brick, a big foundation stone gone into that relationship. Eh? That's so good to hear.
I think for a youngie that has grown up in Te Wharetapu o Ngāpuhi, it's not a sight that we've got to see growing up, and so to see it in this last 2 years just take off, and the whakawhanaungatanga that is happening between all of us is a beautiful sight to see.
Well, we've got a huge history and bond and different hononga with Ngāpuhi, the wharetapu. And beyond the whakapapa, there's so much whakapapa. I mean, you've got the māhuhu whakapapa, with all of us coming down from whakatau pōtiki, the tohunga, and we come off Rongomai, one of the sons. Ngāpuhi nui tonu come off Hau. And so we've got that bond there. We've also got the bond through Mātātua with Rahiri and his brother Tangaroa Whakamanamana. We come down from Tangaroa Whakamanamana. We've got so many marriages and whatnot. You talk about the different papakainga like Oru Awharo, where half of them are bloody aramanga kahia, and whatnot. And it just goes on and on. And then you even take it back to in another week and a half, we as a iwi, we commemorate the 200th year of Te Ika Aranganui, the great defeat, the huge defeat of Ngāti Whātua by the Ngāpuhi affiliated hapu, who were led by Whareumu and Hongihika. They came down on their 40 waka and absolutely annihilated us in Kaiwaka. We had 2 guns, and our 2 guns were Te Ato Kaihihi and Te Wehi Kitarangi, and Ngāpuhi had 500. And we got absolutely annihilated. And you know what? That was the beginning of 200 years of absolute poverty. You had the poverty. You had sorry about that. You had the poverty. You had the breakdown of the culture, the reo. The military might had gone. Our economy had gone.
The loss of knowledge.
The government didn't want to know us. They were dealing with Ngāpuhi or Waikato. So we became persona non grata on our own whenua. And we were just in real trouble, And that was all a result of the defeat at Te Karanganui in 1825, in March 1825. And so here we are, a week and a half out from the commemoration of that defeat. And you know what? It's a real key moment and a pertinent moment in the history of Ngāti Whātua to put that monkey to bed. So we're going there and we're going to have karakia, and we're going to have 1,000 of us in the little area where our people died, and we're going to put that baby to bed. We are going to have some of our Ngāpuhi whanaunga come through, and it'll be wonderful to share that, because we're all, we've got so many connections and a lot of love and a lot of, kia ora kazi, and all that. And we are fully committed to a new future as Ngāti Whātua, and it's already begun in terms of us pushing ahead. And we do want to reclaim our, not just the identity, but we want to reclaim fully our mana motuhake as Ngāti Whātua, and to be recognised as, the primary peoples within our domains. And, it's a tough one at times with government and council, and you got a bloody mongrel like the one up in the Kaipara Council.
I'm going to run for a seat.
Oh, can you? So, all of these things, but you know what? It's an interesting time we're living in at the moment.
It's a healing time. It's a time to kind of come together and whakawhanaunga. And as a mama of a Ngāti Whātua pepe and a very Ngāpuhi born and bred girl, it's an exciting future to see these things being done, so that our pepe don't have to live with
era.
And to say your pepe, our pepe, I see him going up on top of toka toka when we went up there as a kapa. his daddy had him on top of his shoulders, carrying up on top of that beautiful maunga above the Wairoa River where Ngāti Whātua stood in 1807, the precursor to our defeat in 1825, where we defeated Ngāpuhi on the beaches at Ripiro there, at the Battle of Moremonui. So, there's so many interconnections and chapters and whatnot. And, this is just another chapter.
Engari,
Ngāti Whātua's,
Engari me
Julie.
miki kia koutou ka tika, tō koutou aroha. I really want to point out the grace, even though, it's a long time ago and all the rest of it. Māori don't live, as you know, you're more qualified than I am. Yesterday can be 400 years ago. Hey, bro, pono. And to take that stance or that firm line in the sand about repair and grace, the future looks bright, and we'll contribute to that. As Ngāpuhi, will contribute to each other's future.
Kia ora, and also Ngāti Whātua to the Ngāpuhi future.
Yes.
I mean, we take great interest in the happenings beyond the Brenduans.
Yeah.
And we're there to tautoko our whānau ngā hapu, te parafau and patuharekeke, who, they got great whanaunga, but we're saying, hey, just remember, tino mana tō koutou, and you don't always have to come over and have the cup of tea over the Brenduans and whatnot. But we take an interest in our ngāpuhi whanaunga, and also these claims and whatnot, because hey, we want those to be settled so that ngāpuhi can really back itself and just moved into the next phase of, the social, cultural, and commercial development, and
learn from each other.
Oh, exactly.
You guys have got so much, to share and experience around that area. It's unreal.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing when you think of the sheer numbers of ngāpuhi too, eh?
Yeah.
And when I reflect upon my travels through ngāpuhi and heading up to the north, there's just so many beautiful villages and bays and papakainga. And man, when you think 200 years ago, of those waka leaving all the different kainga, whakaroa and whatnot, and whakaruru and all meeting, it was a powerful sight, So all aroha and luck and best wishes to ngāpuhi in its next phase of economic and cultural and social developments, and you've got a great runanga, I think. I think you guys are moving in the right place.
Mika nā ki ero kōrero. And just to kind of wrap up all those kōrero ne, we'll pull us to Te Matatini. You guys have stood on that stage and done te taitokero proud. Pēhia o kare aroto with your tuatahi, with ngā uri o manu.
Oh, we're really happy. Kei te pupuake, te aroha me te hikaka, kia tu anō. Hoi tāre te wā ka tu anō. We went back to the hotel and we had our own viewing of it. And, to sit in a room full of bushwhackers, full of these kaipara, greener than green.
Those mullet catches.
Oh, yeah. and the oyster catches and all that, the beautiful oysters off the mud flats of Pauto and whatnot. But you know what? To be in that room and to see us cheering for each other, clapping for each other, and we just, we loved the fact that, there was a drop rākau here and a drop patu there.
Didn't even see it.
But you know what? We just celebrated the fact that we were able to do good for our tupuna. And we're not at all fixated or worried about any markings or anything. We know that we're on a journey, and we'll give ourselves, a little bit of a break and say, hey, it's all good.
Yeah.
We're actually, all the learnings are in your mistakes, Pio.
Don't stay in the comfort zone.
You don't get much out of the winning, but you get a hell of a lot out of the losing and out of the challenges. And we've already learned a whole lot about ourselves, our capacity, and we had a good go at it. And the main thing is we just hope that all of our people are proud. And I want to thank the support from our other kapahaka, from Puao, from Muri Whenua, from Hāte in particular. We had a cup of tea and a coffee and a lunch with them the other day. We've got joint whanaungatanga, a lot of them are Ngāti Whātua, so we went over to where they're staying, over at Stratford, and we had a lunch together, and we did a little bit of an item or two to each other and gave each other big hugs and had a big joint team photo and just loving each other, eh? And so it's been great getting that support as the Greenie team, and also from our Waitangi Cultural Committee, who have been really abundant in their support to Te Reo Manu Manu and all the kapahaka. It's been really good, eh? And just wanting to reaffirm too that, you know, as Ngāti Whātua, part of us lay in Tāmaki, but actually the good portion of our iwi relate to Te Tokerau, not to Tāmaki Makaurau.
Te nota.
Yeah, te nota. You know, so we actually relate to the whakapapa, to the connections, to the geography of te nota, not to Tāmaki Makaurau. Because when you get into Tāmaki Makaurau, to that end of Ngāti Whātua, the whakapapa and genealogy start to change, into more of the old ngāoho, tainui-based whakapapa, which is beautiful. Yeah. But when you come up into the northern part, a lot of our whakapapa is coming more out of those northern whakapapa. Totally. Anyway, it's been a wonderful journey. Yep, we loved it. Watched ourselves 20 times in our room and had a little paki and all that type of thing. And I'm going, oh, did you fellas watch Wakahuia? Oh, no, we're watching ourselves. I said, right, you've got to watch those top teams to learn a little bit.
Yeah, I'll do that next week.
We'll do it next week.
E mihi nā kia koe mo i nei kōrero rangatira me ngā mahi a tō wahi nei hoki, koutou katoa e tūkahane e roto i ngā whakaro a tātou mātua. Nō reira, ngā mihi, absolute pleasure.
Good luck on the People's Choice Award, whānau.
Yeah.